Hello, and welcome back to another day of women, well-behaved women. Every time. um, so there's so much going on this week, my dear Olivia, so much. And I kind of I wanted to get started with one of my I mean, I hate to say that it's one of my favorite stories because I hate what's going on in Portland, but some of my now favorite women that are behaving quite well in Portland, the Wall of Moms. Um, I just think it's so interesting that these moms and they've started a movement that is actually spreading and growing. There's a Wall of Moms now in Chicago. I saw somewhere there was a Wall of Moms in Israel, in Israel, and I'm so heartened by what it is that they're doing. I mean, these women, they purposely get dressed up as if they're going to Target, they say, in their yellow shirts and bicycle helmets, and protect the protesters that are there just trying to have their voices heard. And man, are they needing the protection, you know?
Yeah, it's inspiring. I think it's so great because I think there's a lot of people wondering about like what their role is supposed to be in this whole movement, this whole just very emotional and sensitive time.
Mm-hmm.
And and I know that when we were kind of getting ready for the show, you mentioned that like it's hard to really, unless you turn on the news or go on your computer, it's hard to really tell that there's this unrest, right? That because things are pretty relatively okay here, where it's sunny and we don't really hear, like a lot of the protests around here have died down. But I think that parents and whatever, you said the dads, the moms, the veterans, like I think everyone's just kind of able to kind of find their place, and I think it's beautiful that their place is, protecting the protesters
Yes.
and just getting directly in front of that violence.
And keep in mind that this is um while we're just now hearing in the last 3 or 4 or 5 days of Wall of Moms and the dads with the leaf blowers and the walls of veterans and all that kind of stuff, and the agents that are out there perpetuating that, um, that this is a protest that's been going on for about 60 days now, due to the death of George Floyd, and this is still a Black Lives Matter protest that has it had sort of died down somewhat. It had never gone away, but it had sort of died down, and it was very peaceful. There was no property being damaged, no harm being done to anybody, and then here come these pardon me, federal goon squad, and they've perpetuated violence with what
Yeah.
it is that they're doing. And I'm so heartened by the fact that people are coming out there with umbrellas and hockey sticks and um, you know uh, and their bicycle helmets and stuff to try to combat that. They're not combating, they're not meeting violence with violence. They're trying to stop the violence and still have their voice being heard. And I feel like they are fighting for our freedoms every bit as much as anybody in a military uniform has done, I think. I don't know. Do you agree?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So,
It's, but the response to, to other people, I don't know, the response that I'm seeing from other people, um, people that I thought were kind of on the right side of things, I'm seeing have like taken a turn. A lot of them are like high school folks I went to high school with, and
Mm-hmm.
they kind of ended up marrying into um, just like the community of like military and the police. Um, and so, you know, like when when everything happened in Portland with that Starbucks,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's all these videos came out of, you know, protesters just being belligerent and like, you know, very much just fighting against the police. Like they, you know, it's not, the fight isn't about Black lives, it's about like anti-blue lives,
Yeah.
which is wrong. And like their point is just so, it's just so narrow, because it's like, you know, this is not peaceful, you said this was peaceful, protesting is fine as long as it's peaceful, and it's like, you're not here to lifeguard protests, like that's not up to you.
Right.
And you haven't even considered, you know, what's behind all of it. Why is the military there to begin with, and do you
Right.
think it would happen that way if
Well,
it,
and the thing is people have to be a little bit more discerning about what it is they see, especially when they're seeing it on Facebook. Because, I mean, there was that one ad. I don't know if you saw this. There was an ad that was a Trump um, campaign ad saying, this is going to be Biden's America. And he actually used a clip that was from uh, that was like from some other protest where the cops were like jumping on this one protester, and I mean it had nothing to do with anything having to do with what's going on now. And it was really, even if anybody had done any investigation, that particular clip would have shown that this was when the government was 100% in the wrong in what it was they were doing. And furthermore, under Trump's watch, this is Trump's America. I mean, this thing that we're talking about, right, this is Trump's America, where moms in fanny packs have to go out and protect people's First Amendment rights,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is sickening. And that's something that we have to remember, that we have the right to protest. We have the right to redress our concerns to the government. And that's all they're trying to do. And they're being told by their government that they cannot, or this will happen. There was a history professor that was shot in the head with one of those rubber bullets, and it gave her a concussion. It was just nasty. And her thought at the time was, I've just been attacked by my government. It's it's really, I'm confused by the whole thing. I don't understand how people are not more angry about it.
It's, yeah, because it's, I feel betrayed by my government, but I also feel betrayed by like my fellow citizens.
Yeah.
I felt, you know, we were talking about um, some of it again before we started this phone call. Um, Now I'm at the age where it's like my cousins that I grew up with have just lost their damn minds, and I didn't grow up with. I
Right.
don't really.
Well, I mean, our and I'm not going to say her name, but my niece, your cousin, is, the concern that you brought to me earlier. And I mean, and you can go ahead and speak to that. That is just, the people that are paying attention are paying attention to kind of the wrong damn things.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I think we're all, exactly, because we're all in our own way kind of saying, you know, wake up, pay attention.
Hmm.
But I think we have, for whatever reason, we're on different pages about what people need to wake up about and pay attention to. Um, as passionately as we feel about the injustice of this military interference in places like Portland.
Mm-hmm.
These other people, some of my cousins, and many, many others, feel very passionately about child trafficking, child sex trafficking,
Yeah.
pedophilia, which I am not saying is irrelevant and okay. But it's not like that it doesn't end there, right? Like it all started when someone tossed around that like just insane conspiracy about Wayfair, and it all went downhill from there. And it went from Wayfair to Tom Hanks to Ellen DeGeneres to Chrissy Teigen to all of Hollywood. Hollywood is just like one pedophilic ring of just awful people. And
Sorry, anybody who's going to think this about Tom Hanks, for God's sakes, it's just, how crazy do you have to be? And I don't mean to downplay the possibility, but I mean, seriously, Tom Hanks.
I mean, it's just, and this is the most important thing to them. Like, we're crazy for worrying about coronavirus, the numbers of people that are new cases, right? And deaths. Like, we are worrying about the wrong things because we are not worried about the children.
Right. The children who prompted the name of a cabinet, right? Those children.
Of a $10,000 cabinet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. And I just noticed, the parallels of the people that are posting these things. Like, and they're usually like uniform affiliates, like wives of veterans, or um, people in the military, or Trump supporters, very nationalistic type folks. It's really odd that that's just happening, and I just think it's so dangerous. It is so dangerous, because I think it's easy for us to kind of like listen, or read the thing, or listen to the theories and just kind of scoff and be like, okay.
Yeah.
But that's what we did with Trump, and that's I remember distinctly at least one of the debates between Hillary and Trump, where like after Trump would finish talking, Hillary would just kind of laugh and be like, I don't even think I have to say anything to that. That kind of speaks for itself. It's stupid, right? Like, what do I have to say?
Right.
But like, didn't really work, right? It didn't really work, because he still won. And I think what's also scary is that some of the posts that I shared with you from my cousin, I think they were implying that, like, yes, Trump is awful, Trump is terrible, but at least he's getting to the core of this problem.
Okay. I see.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And remember, it's the Democrats that want to legalize pedophilia. So that's where I think it gets really dangerous.
Not Trump, who was besties with Epstein or whatever you want to say his name, who actually was involved in a sex ring.
Yeah. Right.
That's
Right.
seriously pretzel logic. I don't get it.
I don't either. And I don't know. And and this person, I'm sure so many other people, just like they cannot separate religion from politics. They cannot separate church and state.
At
And
all.
God knows whatever reason, people are starting to obsess with mixing Hollywood and state. Looking
And
at
George Soros, that's George Soros's fault, because he owns everything in the democratic field of things, which includes Hollywood, by the way.
well, and I'm talking about too, like Kanye, and even a while ago, I think, like, Oprah stood up and said something that people agreed with. It was great, you know, and then everyone just starts trending Oprah 2020. And it's like, just stop that. Saying something that makes, you know, some sense, that speaks to you, I mean, that's great. It does not mean they should be your president.
Right. I mean, we no more need another talk show host. I don't care who they are in the White House. Then we need another hole in our heads.
Right.
And you know, all love and respect to Oprah Winfrey. She is at least intelligent, and I'm sure she could say those wonderful 5 words without any problem. The person, woman, man, camera, TV. Thank God Trump they did that. But that doesn't make a president.
No, it doesn't. Why have we lowered our standards?
I don't know.
And I don't want to believe that Obama had that profound of an effect on people that are just so hateful. You know,
Well, if you wanted to look for the absolute diametric opposite of Obama, could we get any more so than Trump?
that's what I'm saying. Like, they were so upset that he was in office for 8 years
Mhm.
that they went that low that they don't even want to look back.
Yeah,
And, you know, that's just so crazy to me.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I concur. I mean, the man has degrees, multiple degrees from Ivy League schools, Harvard Law Review, or is it like Yale Law Review?
He was no legacy student. He was not a legacy.
Nope, not at all. And a constitutional scholar.
Mm-hmm.
And then this buffoon comes behind and says, well, he doesn't know anything. I'm like, what? To a man who probably has never read all of our Bill of Rights. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Um, right now for me, I'm kind of, it's a scary time. I woke up and the first thing I did was start listening to Michael Moore podcast, which really put me in a funk because it's terrifying. He's, he is alarmist to an extent. But I don't know that his alarmism is off base all that much. You know, he called the election for Trump very early on, and and had all the reasons, you know, and I kind of trust that he's got the, I don't know, what is it, thumb on the pulse of the nation, kind of on our on most of our electorate, and I trust what he thinks. So it's terrifying to hear him talk about how our democracy is really on the edge, really on the edge. And I was talking to you too about how um you know, the you sent me this, right? Didn't you send me this?
Yeah.
I think you did. And yeah, and I've read most of it, not all of it, but
And for, in case anyone didn't see it, it's on tyranny. 20 lessons from the 20th century by Timothy Snyder.
Timothy Snyder is a history professor at Yale, and it was funny because I was telling your grandmother, my mom, about this book this last week, and how I think that I am going to be requiring my students to read portions of it this year, and how I think everybody should read it. Everybody should have this book and the Pocket Constitution with them at all times. And then I turn on the TV and Rachel Maddow is talking to actually Timothy Snyder and has this book in her hand. And I'm like, okay, you know, I've seen enough and I've read enough and I've watched enough that I think that I am not being extremist or alarmist when I feel the way that I do about what's going on right now in our country. I am right to be a little bit terrified. Which in and of itself is a little bit terrifying. So,
Uh,
go ahead.
it's true. I mean, because I haven't read all of it myself. I do have it on my shelf as well. But just kind of reading the bold on each chapter,
Uh-huh.
like, oh shit, too late for that.
Right. It's true. It's true. I mean, what is it, number 6 or 8? I'm not sure. Um, shoot. Um, I forget what it is. No. Be reflective if you must be armed. Be wary of paramilitaries. Number 6.
42.
Page 42. Beware of paramilitaries. Portland, honey, beware of paramilitaries, okay? Terrified. So on that note, let's at least brighten it up before we finish our day. I want to talk a little bit about Queen AOC. Love her. Love
Yeah.
her.
I
Um,
watched that clip, or her speech, and I cried again.
yeah. Mo said that it's really weird, but she was able to say the words "fucking bitch" and make it sound totally ladylike. And it was true. I mean, she was just very calmly, very matter of factly saying, "This is what this guy said to me, and my parents did not raise me to sit by and let that happen."
I think for me, just driving home that, like, thankfully my dad didn't have to see that, but my mom saw it.
Yeah, yeah, yep. And then, I mean, his sham of an apology, whatever the heck that was. I mean, he was hiding, basically hiding behind his mother and his daughters to justify his poor treatment of this young person. It's sickening. It's absolutely sickening. But she spoke for
Mm-hmm.
all women who have had that type of language used against them, um, who have had to basically just kind of take it because we don't have any other recourse. Um, and she used her bully pulpit to um, to bring attention to that, and I hope to change that.
Do you think he saw it?
I'm sorry. Do
Do you
you think
think that?
he wasn't in the room? He wasn't in the room when he was not in the room where it happened. Um, so I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm sure he heard it, and he was removed from a church board, one of the a church committee, a pretty important church committee, because of what he had said. Yeah.
You know how white men love their church involvement too.
They take a lot of power from those positions at the church. I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Um, Interesting being messed up, but whatever. I'm I am proud of her, and
I'm
she's how old is she?
young. She wouldn't even be able to run, I don't think, in the next election.
No, no, because you have to be
35. Yeah.
yeah, no,
So I don't think she's 30 yet. I think she might be 29, 28.
wow,
Yeah.
good on her,
Yeah.
good on her.
But also, kind of, I hope that she's like helping too with this, like just this idea that young people just aren't capable of things. And I'm not even talking about like Gen Z, but like, I can't tell you how many times just grown-ups would say, "Oh, you're too young to know that. Oh, you're too young to know that." And,
Right, right, right.
yeah, I don't think that should quantify the kind of respect or
I think, we put a lot of stock into superficial markers of, I don't know, it's not achievement. Living to be a certain age doesn't make you more intelligent.
Right. And also being a certain age shouldn't mean that you should have accomplished, you know what I mean?
Right.
Certain wow, like I just it goes both ways.
Well, I mean, gosh, I didn't get a college degree until I was 51 years old, so
Well, I got to be there.
I should tell you something. Yeah. And it wasn't like I all of a sudden one day got smart. I yeah. I mean, I was smarter than most adults that I knew by the time I was about 12. So, and I guess a little braggadocious, maybe. I don't know. But I
Should
think
be.
we should be allowed to be. I think women as a rule have been asked to downplay their intelligence and their abilities. So
Yep.
I love looking behind you and seeing your collection.
Yeah, thank you. I try to keep it straight because it's bad. It's a little PG where you go up. I think there's a
Yeah.
booty somewhere that people like to look at. But I'm like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Like
Okay.
during meetings for work.
Yeah.
I think one time too, um, I accidentally moved my computer and my legalize and liberate poster was showing.
Oh, oops. Well, we are the anarchist left that are indoctrinating the children to be horrible, horrible people. Well, anyway, I'm going to be on the lookout this week for some more encouraging stories because I was a downer most of the day today.
I think we should definitely try to find ways to end with joy.
Yeah.
Um, I gotta show you my finished puzzle piece. Maybe I'll take a picture if you want to
Oh
post.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I got a cool puzzle that is, it's like a museum wall of framed portraits of notable women in history. Um, and in gold on the wall amongst the frames, it says, well behaved women seldom make history. So I think that's
Which is awesome. That's awesome.
fitting.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my dear, my darling, my love. So ends another week. One thing I wanted to say. Um, there are a number of ways that you can help people in Portland. Of course, donating to ACLU. It's like a legal defense fund that ACLU, say it for me.
ACLU?
Thank you. They use to bail people out of jail. There's also a PDX bail fund that is used for the same purpose. There are a couple of like pop-up outdoor food places that are there providing free food for the protesters. One is something about ribs. I don't remember what it's called. But very little investigation will be able to point you into that direction. These people are fighting for you as much as they are fighting for themselves. They are fighting for Black people, Black Lives Matter, of course, and for all of our freedoms. They are taking a lot of um, they're taking it on the chin for all of us, basically. And so I want to encourage you, if you're able to kind of take care of them because they're all of us. I am Portland.
Maybe we can post these resources.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'll do some investigation, some digging, and post some stuff too. So okay. So as always, if you liked what you saw here, Like us, subscribe to us, come back and see us, and we'll, you know, ask us questions. We want to answer stuff. Okay. All right. Well, we will talk to you later.
Your cats are calling you.
Huh?
Cats are calling you.
Yeah, I know my cat. Charlie, such a dork. He's like very angsty. I have an angsty cat. All right.
We'll have a good week.
Have a good week. Love you.
Love you.